2. They've got Markkanen, who's playing remarkably well, had a double-double last night, 31 and 11, and 4 blocks in the game. They got a sharpshooter in Beasley. They got Clarkson and Sexton at the guard to go with Conley. They've got Vanderbilt, who is tough built.
Who gave Memphis trouble last year in the playoffs
Right.
with Minnesota, too.
I 8 games in, you're not going to say anything yet, but I got a feeling this team is a lot better than most of the prognosticators had said. So Utah's 4 home, 0 and home. The game ended in the second quarter when the Grizzlies were outscored 38-18. I came in this morning, and our lovely receptionist at the front desk, Margaret, who is very good at what she does. She does a whole bunch of stuff around the station. She goes, it's the refs. I said, no, it's not the refs. Maybe the Grizz got a couple of bum calls. They certainly, when they got to within 10 points, the referees didn't turn the ball over. The referees didn't allow all the threes. Last night, again, second game in a row, Utah had 19 threes in the game. They shot at a 40% clip. They defended the three, by the way, to the Grizz tune of 20%. The Grizz only hit 6 threes, 19-6. That's 13-3 differential. That's 39-point differential. Take also into account that the Grizzlies had 16 turnovers in the game and only 14 assists. I remember last year when they were playing at peak performance, they were going like 3-1 assist to turnovers. They would assist on 80% of their buckets. Well, how many buckets did they make last night?
38 total.
And they only had 14.
That's right.
That's pitiful. Terrible. And 16 turnovers and only 14 assists, a negative ratio? We never saw that.
I really think Bane is a big factor in that, too. It just alleviates so much pressure from Ja in that offense that
I agree.
Is just not there otherwise. And Steven Adams going down. I mean,
well, that's the other thing, and now you're worried.
Yeah, certainly.
Because they're saying Ja. I mean, the only thing worse would be no Ja than no jaw on Steven Adams, right?
One letter difference.
There you go. My thing is this. He only played 18 minutes, only had 2 points. He did have 9 rebounds in 18 minutes. He's a machine. But without him in there, especially in certain matchups, that's disastrous, and it was a little bit disastrous last night. I only hope it's just a sore jaw, not a broken jaw, because if it's a broken jaw, now we're talking about, a couple of weeks, maybe more out, and then you got to have a mask, which is hard to play. I've never seen a guy play great in a mask, except for, who was the Piston that used to wear it all the time?
Rip Hamilton.
Yeah, he's the only guy ever played good in a mask.
That's right.
So, I don't know. I'm puzzled. I thought, okay, you're not going to win 2 at Utah, but I thought you'd have a chance, and you would or split on that, and really get off to a great start, because this is sort of an easy beginning for the Grizz here.
And you'll probably have a lot of Grizz defenders saying also that you play the first game without Ja, you play the second game without Bane. It's an outlier in that regard, too. But the things we're talking about, specifically on the defensive end, have not been outliers. They've been present even when both those guys are in the game, and that is a bit of a concern.
Well, I don't know Laravia again. Roddy is only so good. It's the second game in a row where I've watched him miss a wide-open layup. Just a wide-open layup. I don't know.
And those rookies, I mean, it's not just not to say they're going to always be like this is just being a rookie in the NBA,
Sure.
Especially in November and October.
Sure.
They're just not good enough on defense. And if you're depending on them so much in that second group, it's really going to make your defensive numbers look a lot worse as well.
Well, Ja obviously is still worth the price of admission. 37 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 4 of the 14. And Tyus Jones, that was a great get to keep him. No question about that. But last night, that is as bad as I have seen them play in a couple of years. It's and a little bit toward the end of the game, the first game with Utah, it's like they're really not competing. which is very unlike a Taylor Jenkins team. But you don't see like the fire and the competitive thing other than Ja. I mean, I don't see that. Do you?
I don't, but I think that all goes back to the defensive end as well. And people, this is a big argument on Twitter. I don't know if you've been on Grizzlies Twitter. This is an argument that's gone back to the offseason. It's still going on today. You miss Melton and Kyle Anderson in that aspect of the game. I mean, certainly on the defensive end. It's not to say these other rookies aren't playing good offense, but that is a huge factor in all of this as well. And when you see that fire, a lot of times comes out on defense because Ja can get to the rim whenever he wants.
You know, I think it's really sad that Melton played so poorly in the playoffs, because if he had a good postseason, because it's 2 times in a row now that they just could not withstand the pressure of playoff basketball. Had he done that, I don't think they would have let him go the way they did. Kyle Anderson, they weren't going to pay him his money.
That's right.
And,
he got paid a lot more.
I kind of understand that. The Melton thing, though, I think they just said he's just not good enough in postseason play.
And that's a huge factor with the money and everything as well.
Yeah, no. But you're not going to – rookies are not going to replace that. Hey, by the way, just one more quick NBA note. We're going to talk World Series with Tim Doolin here in a second. James Wiseman had his option picked up, okay? As unlucky maybe as Memphis was with Wiseman, he is very fortunate as an NBA player, because coming into this season, James Wiseman has played all of 39 games with some very inconsequential numbers to back up anything, except the potential they see down the road. This year, he is averaging all of 8.7 points per game, 4.4 rebounds as a backup post player, putting in about 14 and a half minutes a game. That's it. And yet, again on potential, and I hope it plays out for James. I really do. I only wish him the best. But he just picked up a $12 million contract. They're going to pay 12-point-something million for that 4th year. So no matter what happens to James the rest of the way, he's set. Unless he totally blows it, but he is set. Game 3 is set in Philadelphia for Game 3, as we mentioned, of the World Series. And we'll talk with Tim Doolin about that in a minute. I'm just going to remind you we're in the Family Leisure Studios, where you can kind of relax at home, but you have to go to Whitten Road and I-40 to really figure out what Relax at Home and that sale is all about. I want you to go look at the massage chair, check out the new theater seating. You can get great deals on that right now with the Relax at Home sale. Same thing if you want to invite family or friends over for a friendly game of pool or shuffleboard or air hockey, any of those things. They are on sale right now. So are saunas, hot tubs, and patio furniture. We love staying at home, especially as the winter approaches. There's nothing better than to relax at home with the sale from Family Leisure. And our title sponsor, as always, it's Homer Skelton Hyundai in Olive Branch. And I urge you to take advantage right now of this new deal on financing. The program started pretty much the last week of October. It's going to run all the way through January, where you don't make your first payment for 3 months on your new Honda. That's right. It's the deferred first payment for 90 days. You don't make your first monthly payment until 3 months after you purchase the car. That could be on a Santa Fe. It could be on a Tucson. Any new Hyundai. Defer your payments. Don't worry about it for 3 months. Just head on over. Down Highway 78. It's Lamar in Memphis. The first exit, Mississippi's Craft Road. Turn left. You'll see Chris True and all the gang at Homer Skelton Hyundai. So bad weather, delayed Game 3. Now it's all set. Philly tonight. The Astros and the Philadelphia Phillies tied up at 1-1. Tim Doolin, our baseball expert. How does that affect this World Series and pitching rotations?
Well, I think it affects it in a positive way for the Phillies. I mean, you know, last night they were going to with Noah Syndergaard, who has really not pitched a lot, coming off of some arm issues. And really they had no idea how long he was going to be able to go, which if he didn't go very long last night, if they would have played that game, you would have seen the Phillies had to use a lot of guys in their bullpen, which they would rather have not done, and potentially losing that game. And so now all of a sudden you get to go back to Suarez, who's been remarkable for these guys. and more so than anything, it gives you the opportunity. If this series does go 7 games, Willow, you're going to have the opportunity to have your ace Nola being able to pitch 2 more times, including that Game 7. So I think it lends toward the Phillies, and really it kind of aligns with the story of the year with the Phillies, making the push and the run that they did in the back half of the season. And quite honestly, you've got arguably the best player in the game right now, healthy, and carrying this team. And he's, Bryce Harper is scary. I mean, he really is. He can impact the game in every aspect. He's got, you've got the crazy fans in Philly, crazier than ever, and arguably that some of the best fans of all sports there in Philadelphia. So I think it although on paper the Astros are the much better team, throw that out the window because we are where we are, and you got 2 great teams and some great storylines going into this Game 3 tonight.
I want to get back to Harper in a second, but I'm with you. Teams get hot. That's usually, however it works in baseball, there's always chemistry in the locker room that is so important, even though it's such a one-on-one kind of a game, really. But yet, it does seem to matter, and then hot teams seem to get breaks. To me, you're so right. First of all, they're going to go with Ranger Suarez. He's a left-hander. I think that bothers the Astros a little bit more. Syndergaard, as you have just said, Noah Syndergaard has not been what he used to be, so now they skip him, and you're going to get Nola for Game 4 and 7 if you need it. All those breaks. While the Astros, they're staying with Lance McCullers and Christian Javier, and then Verlander, so they're staying with their same setup. They're not making any adjustments.
No, they're not. And here's one thing I would say is McCullers is probably a guy that is going to throw somewhere between 65 and 75% breaking balls. Okay, so a lot of times hitters will go into a game like that and they're going to sit soft the entire at bat in hopes of getting one of those breaking balls to hang. Breaking balls are harder to throw. Obviously, they're harder to hit. But the Phillies, they do damage, and they don't miss pitches they shouldn't miss. So I think it's going to be interesting to see if McCullers is on his game. It's going to be a close game. If not, I think, I wouldn't be surprised to see the Phillies take this one as well.
Well, if they do, they're going to put some pressure on the Astros that have not had any pressure in this postseason. They went 7 straight coming into this thing, and everybody kind of thought they'd blow away the Phillies in 5. That doesn't appear to be the case. Now we shall see. You mentioned Bryce Harper. Here's the guy, when he went to the Phils, he and Mike Trout were considered the 2 best players in the game. Trout's never taken his team to postseason. This is the first time Harper has. Is that sort of does that kind of cement his legacy as being better, that he's finally gotten the team to postseason?
I think so, and I think in his mind, there's no question that guys of his stature in the game or in any sport, they're all judged by, did you bring our team a championship? Obviously, they want to make a lot of money. They are. They want to make all-star teams. He has, and he's been an MVP. I think there's a chip on his shoulder when he left Washington, and then they ultimately win the World Series after his departure, that says, you know what, I need to get me one. And there's no question he's playing at another level. And there's a lot to say about anybody in baseball, especially position players that are dealing with, the thumb and the hand issues. It's very difficult to come back until you're 100%. You're constantly trying to make adjustments and swing path adjustments to keep you from hurting it again, and there's some weakness going on. So you're seeing 100% healthy Bryce Harper with a major chip on his shoulder, and he is fun to watch. He is
terrific. There's no doubt about it. So is Justin Verlander on the other side. He's as big a superstar as a pitcher as Harper is as a batter. And yet, he can't seem to play in postseason. He gets there. He's won a world championship, but his ERA is up over 6, where it was hovering around 2 career and this year in regular season. What happens to Justin Verlander in postseason?
It's hard to say, Wolo, and I don't discount the fact that the stats are what they are. You know, if you watch the game the other night, he was cruising there for a little while, and then all of a sudden he just gets punched in the mouth. And like I said earlier, when you make mistakes to this Phillies lineup, they don't miss them. They don't foul them off. They do damage. And they just he made some quality pitches early, and then he made some pitches that he left out over the heart of the plate. And that lineup is scary when you do that. And so I can assure you, you know, with the success he's had and all that he's come back from with the Tommy John and having to sit out, and he can't wait to pitch again. And it'll be interesting to see if he can kind of quieten down the critics on his postseason legacy.
His ERA this season, where he went 18-4, was 1.75. It's 6.25 in postseason play, I think, on average. It's absolutely crazy to me. I don't quite get it. All right, so if we go to a Game 7, you're taking on Saturday and Sunday. That means you're taking on college football on Saturday, and you're taking on Sunday night football Sunday night. What does that do for baseball?
Well, I think the fact that it would be Game 7 lends to think that there's going to be, you know, a pretty good rating. If it were Game 4 or 5, I think it would be much difficult for baseball to get some good ratings. I think, you know, with I'm sure that Major League Baseball would have loved to see the Yankees and the Dodgers. We'd be talking about a total different viewing of the world, and so I think that there'll be good viewership. I really do. I'm not sure who's playing Sunday Night Football, but it is football season. But I do think there'll be, if it's a Game 7, I think it'll be good.
I hope so. And they're going back to Houston, so you don't have to worry about weather here at all. And that's the good thing. But I'm not sure who.
It's the Titans.
It's the Titans on Sunday Night Football.
That's right.
May hurt
Chiefs.
May hurt them in the state of Tennessee. I don't think overall it will hurt that the Titans are on Sunday Night Football MLB. That's
well,
for
I
sure.
can tell you that you know it's different for players playing in the Philadelphia weather and the Houston weather. I can assure you, I played in Rochester too many years. And miserably cold the majority of the year, and pitchers love pitching inside, and so it'll be a good game tonight. I'm excited to see it.
Me too. Tim, thank you much. We appreciate it, and we will talk next week. We'll have a World Series champion when we speak next Tuesday.
All right, well, thanks.
Thank you. That is our man Tim Doolin on baseball. He's brought to you by the Eflin Insurance Team. You know, Tim played for the Tigers, and Matt Eflin is a big Tiger fan. Loves to be a part of when Tim Doolin talks. And, you know, I was just talking about chemistry and team. That's the way the Eflin Insurance Group works. Collaboration. They got Grant, Andrew, Heath. They got Matt, of course. He's their leader. And if you would love to have great value without sacrificing great service, I introduce you to the Eflin Insurance Team with their philosophy of collaboration. They get to know you. They know you, your family, they know what your budget is, and then they pick the right protection for auto, for home, and for life insurance. Same thing with commercial insurance. If you've got a small to mid-sized business, he's your guy. He'll find out what your assets are, what you need to protect, what your budget is, and voila, it's protected with commercial insurance. Again, just call. Find out the way they collaborate at 386-GER, 901-386-4777. That's GER for Tigers. That's the Eflin Insurance Team. We'll take a break. When we come back, we talk NFL. Jeff Moore is in the house. He's next.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows, stay up to date with station events, and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
Hi, this is Greg Gaston for QC Kinetics. Remember the guy for the Hair Club of Men who would say, I'm not just the president, but I'm a client. Well, I'm not just a spokesman, but I'm a client of QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in exciting new pain treatments with advanced regenerative medicine. It's a remedy for all the joint pain you're dealing with in the hips, shoulder, elbows, wherever it may be, pain from injury or arthritis. QC Kinetics uses regenerative treatments that can restore and repair damaged tissue and do so without surgery, drugs, or downtime. And in my business, I can't afford downtime. QC Kinetics is also an alternative way for those dealing with pain caused by injury like a torn meniscus or rotator cuff injury, which is what I'm dealing with. So don't keep living with that pain. Do what I'm doing, getting relief from QC Kinetics. Call for a free consultation today. 901-445-1010. That's 901-445-1010. 901-445-1010.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. See better and stay safe on the road with our visibility event. Right now, you can earn up to $20 in bonus rewards when you buy a pair of Rain-X Quantum Wiper Blades and Sylvania Silver Star Ultra headlights. Take advantage of the rewards from October 31st until November 13th, in-store or on AutoZone.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply. Offer available to AutoZone Rewards members.
Hey fellas, Bill Russell at Russell Brothers Fine Jewelers, and it happened October the 11th. I had my first guy ask me what he should get his wife for Christmas, and my answer was this: get her something she will appreciate and get her something she will absolutely love. Think about her likes and dislikes. You might even ask her what she wants. Then come let us show you the finest, most beautiful jewelry in Memphis. This will be our 38th Christmas, and for many of our customers, they've been with us for every one of those 38 years. They come looking for beautiful gifts, but they also know that they will receive quality, value, and service that's unexcelled in the Memphis area. At Russell Brothers, you can play St. Nick, knowing that if you don't make the right choice, our money-back guarantee will allow her the ability to exchange her gift for one that she loves, or she gets your money back. We've helped thousands of Santas. We'd love to help you. Russell Brothers Jewelers, 4646 Poplar at Perkins.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Attention homeowners, I'm here to let you know new government regulations are going to drive HVAC prices higher. My friends at Conway, well, they want to help you beat that price increase by replacing your old inefficient system with a new energy-efficient heating and cooling system before the prices go up. So if you call Conway right now, 384-3511, you'll get a free furnace with select new cooling systems, and you get the newest state-of-the-art thermostat. It's called a Nest. Now, even if you don't need a new HVAC system, you should still call Conway for the heating tune-up, that $69 16-point energy tune-up, because now you feel confident knowing the expert technicians at Conway will do the job right the first time. In fact, here's something new. If your system breaks down within 6 months of the tune-up, they give you double your money back. If you've got any plumbing or electrical needs, maybe a drain that needs to be cleared, you got to let those guys handle that as well. That's 384-3511, or you could just visit conwayservices.net for all of the details. National Football League last night, another stinker on Monday Night Football, that's for sure. I mean, the Cleveland Browns just handled Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. This is interesting. The Rams, usually the Super Bowl champ is competitive the next year. We don't get many repeats, but they're competitive, and the runner-up usually falls right down the tubes. And neither team from last year's Super Bowl, the Rams or the Bengals, are anything like they were a year ago.
Yeah, it's surprising to see, particularly with the Bengals. I mean, we kind of felt like that team was a team that basically had reached another level of production and confidence, and the culture had changed. But that offensive line just is not giving Joe Burrow any protection. Their running game doesn't give them enough of a punch for him to have some relief from play action, and it's just making it tougher. Teams are just coming after this quarterback and putting a lot of pressure on him. The Rams, it's just surprising to see the way that they've kind of fallen off. and of course the 49ers surging in the middle of that NFC West, and the surprise team, of course, being the Seattle Seahawks.
They are. I am shocked that they are. Well, they're leading the division 5-3. Here come the Niners with Christian McCaffrey. What a move that was. Is that the best trade you've seen for a team so far this year?
I think it is, because this guy is such a compliment to the way that they run their offense. And, of course, he demonstrated that this past Sunday, throwing a touchdown, running a touchdown, and then catching a touchdown pass. He fits that team. And then, of course, when Deebo Samuels comes back, they've got some guys hurt on defense that are going to be coming back. I mean, they're going to be formidable. I think it was a great move. I understand the Rams had a chance and just couldn't get the deal put together. He's a really good fit for the 49ers.
It's incredible, and he gets to go home. He played at Stanford, so he's a Bay Area kind of guy. The NFC East continues to be, I think, the best division in all of football. Eagles win again, so they're 7-0. Now I guess if you're the 72 Dolphins, you start to worry about being perfect. I don't think the Eagles are going to run the table by any stretch of the imagination. But here's the Cowboys and the Giants 6-2. And, Cowboys looked awfully good against the Bears. And now the Washington Commanders are even at 500. I mean, that's one strong group of four.
It is. And, of course, those guys still are going to need to play each other again. It'll be interesting to see when the Eagles and Cowboys play again to see who can win that game. But the Cowboys, I think, they figured it out that with their 1-2 punch, I think, with Zeke and then Pollard kind of complement, it creates a lot of problems for defenses because they get used to the kind of running style that Zeke has, which is more of a punch-you-in-the-mouth type running style. And then here comes Pollard, quick as a cat through the hole, making guys miss and going the distance. That's the formula that they need. And then, of course, Dak now just needs to be a game manager. He doesn't have to be able to go out there and be Superman, just not make mistakes. He's done a good job of protecting the football so far this year, and their defense is definitely one of the best in the league.
So right over your shoulder, your right shoulder on ESPN at this moment, there is a graphic that says, should Tony Pollard start over Ezekiel Elliott? What would you do if you were the Cowboys?
I like the way the Cowboys are doing it. I think to have Zeke in there to be your pound guy, and then Pollard coming in and giving him that extra little step that he creates. I think the 1-2 punch is certainly better. I think we'd see a little bit different level of production if they were giving the ball to Pollard, 20 times a game. I think he carried it 14 or 15 times this last game, and that's the most he's ever carried in a game. I don't think he's yet the guy to carry the load. I like the way they're doing it, and if it's not broke, don't try to fix it.
Speaking of Pollard, obviously I loved him. I did his college games, and he was just a delight, and his parents are wonderful. They got a little sandwich shop here. He's from Melrose. There's another Memphian that is staking a claim. Who's the best running back in the NFL right now from Memphis? Is it Tony Pollard or is it Kenneth Walker from Arlington High School?
It's a really good question. I think Pollard, my vote would be Pollard. Pollard has done the production over a number of years, but it is so exciting to see Kenneth Walker having the kind of year that he's having for Seattle, because they need it, and it certainly is making it such that Geno Smith can do the types of things he's doing, their play action, because Kenneth Walker has been so productive.
Geno Smith, the biggest surprise on a positive note in the NFC, like the Seattle Seahawks. I really did not think they would be very good this year. No Russell Wilson. It seemed like a lot of tension on that team a year ago. People starting to doubt Pete Carroll. A horrible preseason, and then now 5-3 and leading that division.
And the thing that's so fascinating to see and exciting to see for Geno Smith is the way that he's taking care of the ball. I mean, one of his challenges over his career has been that he turned the ball over a lot. If it wasn't fumbles, it was interceptions and untimely situations. He's really protecting the ball well. When his receivers are open, he's very accurate. And so, I would say he's the biggest surprise at the quarterback position so far this year, for sure.
Yeah. Surprising to me are the Chicago Bears moves. I know they're in a division that Minnesota at 6-1 is going to win. The Packers are 3-5. They're 3-5. The Lions, once again, are woeless, just woeful, horrible. Why would they move? First, Robert Quinn, and that really upset Roquan Smith, and Roquan Smith again put the pressure on them to move. I know he's in the last year of a deal, but you're still in the hunt. He's the leading tackler in the National Football League, second most solos. Why would you move this guy?
Yeah, I mean, I think they primarily, it appears that their general manager was just trying to think ahead in terms of trying to get some kind of value for him. And certainly he was disgruntled after the trade of his teammate to the Ravens. But, you when you've got a player of that caliber and you know that when the season comes up next year, you're probably not going to have him. He'll be a free agent. It looked like they were just trying to get some kind of value for him while they could.
A second rounder and a fifth rounder, that's better than they got for Quinn. They got nothing for Quinn.
Exactly.
Who's an older guy.
Right.
But he's going to help.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a tough. And then, of course, you have the challenge of your locker room. When you move two of your defensive leaders that way in a young team like what they have, it just makes it more of a challenge for the Bears going
I think
forward.
they just threw in the towel.
Yeah.
That's what it kind of looks like to me. You're going, okay, we'll do it next year. Yeah. Maybe they'll find with one of those picks some offensive linemen, because that really is what they need to help Justin Fields. Speaking of quarterbacks that have really come through, Miami and Tua. And the story between Tua and Hurts, two guys that were teammates, and then you throw in a Mac Jones. Nick Saban's known for his defense. He ought to be known for his quarterbacks. 3 in the NFL right now.
Yeah, and all of them are certainly Tua and Jalen Hurts are playing fantastic. And what's so interesting about Tua is the way that, he is so accurate with the football, and he's putting up big numbers. He's got some great receivers, obviously, out wide, but he's playing with a lot of confidence. He's not turning the ball over, and really his quarterback, I think, his coach, rather, belief in him has made all the difference in the way that he's playing this year, and it certainly makes for this Miami Dolphins team to be formidable. Of course, the Bills are the class of the league at this point. Most people feel like they're the best team in playing because they beat the best quarterbacks so far in the league.
Yeah.
But
they lost to Miami though.
Yeah, and so again, Miami is in there. I think Tua's a great story. Jalen Hurts is a great story.
That division too, just like the NFC East. You got Buffalo at 6-1. The Jets and the Dolphins are both 5-3. Not quite as good as the 6-2 in the East of the NFC, but the Patriots are 500 too, and so that is a great division. My question for you: the Tennessee Titans. Way ahead. They're going to win their division because the AFC South is not very good. The Colts are 3-4. Jaguars are 2-6. The Texans are 1-5-1. They're not going anywhere. Yeah. But can the Titans really take on good teams being as one-dimensional as they are? We know Derrick Henry is great, 219 yards, 2 touchdowns, now 75 in his career. That's better than Eddie George. He just surpassed the Titans' record.
Wow.
And he's still in his prime. But can you win in this day and age only running the ball?
It's going to be difficult, especially as you get down to playoff football to be one-dimensional like that. But, the Tennessee Titans have proven with their coach, with that culture, you've got to play 4 quarters to beat them. They're going to come out. They're going to play hard. And I think the way that Derrick Henry is running the football is going to help their play action be more effective going down the road. But I think their formula for success is getting the ball to Derrick Henry, and I think they'll keep that up. And their defense is solid.
Your defense is very good. Mike Vrabel's just a physical guy, and they run that style. All the way. I mean, they follow the way he wants it, and it is interesting to watch. But in this day and age, I don't know how far it gets you, but we're going to find out. That is for sure. One last thing, many of you know by now, Jeff Moore played in the NFL with the LA Rams, but his heart is with those in Knoxville. He played for the Tennessee Volunteers. They've got a game, I hear, this week. The world is talking about it. It's 1 versus 2. You don't get many of those in college football. And that is Tennessee and Georgia in Athens. What's going to happen this Saturday, Jeff Moore?
Well, the Vols are going to go in there, I think. And they won in Georgia before. It's going to be a tough atmosphere to win in, but Coach Heupel has this team believing that they can win. Their defense has got to step it up. We know they can score points, and we know it's difficult for teams to stop them offensively. The challenge is going to be is the defense being able to stop Georgia's offense, and I'm looking forward to seeing it. I think they got a good chance, the best chance they've had in a long time, and I'm pulling for them. I think they can pull it off.
No one can stop the attack. They use every bit of the field with Heupel and Hendon Hooker. Let's just put it like this. If Hooker has anywhere close to the kind of production he had against Alabama, if he does that this week, he is clearly, if he isn't already, the Heisman Trophy candidate to win it all.
Yeah, I would think so. A lot of the voters are pretty high on him, and his production has been consistent from week to week, which is great.
Jeff, as always, we appreciate it. We'll talk next Tuesday, and we'll figure out exactly who the best team in the National Football League is. At least at some point, there's so much parity. But I do like Buffalo and Kansas City, that is for sure. And the Eagles, you got to keep them up there. They haven't lost a game yet. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. That is Jeff Moore on the National Football League. He is brought to you by Ken Garland Custom Home Builders. Ken knows you're making a huge decision and a financial commitment. You're either building that dream home, maybe you're buying some land, maybe you got land in your family, you're not sure how to utilize it, but you want to take that big step to build that dream place you've been thinking about for years. Maybe you love your location, you don't want to move, but you want modern amenities, you want a renovation. I call it renovation with innovation because Ken's got all of the knowledge and knows the equipment to bring in to make your home a modern palace. He does that. Go look. KenGarland.com. Go see what I'm talking about, and then call him. 751-1632. He's fun to chat with. Sees little details and the big picture all at once. Ken Garland, Custom Home Builders. Again, that number, 751-1632, or go to KenGarland.com. We'll pause for just a second. When we come back to Indianapolis, we'll go. Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News is next with the newest. The Sporting News just put out their top 25 for the year. Let's see who's on it in just a minute.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Hi, this is Lauren Choate with Choate's Air Conditioning, Heating, and Plumbing. Choate's is offering some amazing specials for this month only. If you're considering upgrading your furnace before the cold weather comes, Choate's is offering $1,000 off a new Carrier furnace. If you don't need a new furnace, Choate's is now offering its early bird $60 furnace tune-up. This 22-point tune-up includes a free carbon monoxide test and heat exchanger inspection. And Choate's is your indoor air quality expert. For the best quality air for you and your family, it's recommended to have your air ducts cleaned every 8 years. This month only, Choate's will install a free UV light system when you get your air ducts cleaned, a $500 value. Call us at 347-8086 to take advantage of these amazing deals. So, turn to the experts with Choate's, and remember, let our family serve your family.
Come on, we're gonna be late to the cookout.
I was just packing up my famous mac and cheese.
I hope you packed the Pepto, too.
Huh?
Pepto-Bismol provides fast relief from heartburn and indigestion. You know, that uncomfortable feeling after you eat too much? And after the deviled eggs, baked beans, and barbecue ribs? You're gonna need it.
Barbecue ribs? I should probably pack an extra shirt, too.
Good call.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Pepto-Bismol. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Bienvenidos. Welcome to Los Cabos with 4 locations: Quince, Bartlett, Germantown, and now on Goodman Road. Los Cabos serving the best food in town with quality service and a fun family atmosphere. At Los Cabos, food and drink are an important part of the dining experience, so you get exceptional food with cocktails worthy of that food. You'll find the best margaritas at Los Cabos, along with delicious specialty drinks, handcrafted cocktails, beer, and happy hour specials 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. daily. Los Cabos is open for lunch and dinner, with lunch specials every day starting at $7. Come enjoy delicious Mexican dishes and seafood at the best sports bars in town. Visit with family and friends and enjoy Los Cabos Mexican Bar and Grill. Los Cabos, now with 4 locations: Quince, Bartlett, Germantown, and their newest location, 3964 Goodman Road, just a few minutes down the road from Getwell. See you soon at Los Cabos. There are so many ways to buy and sell houses these days. How do you choose? Well, of course, choose the right way with Chet Whitsitt. Chet has over 37 years of experience as both a broker and a sales agent. He's helped lots of people buy and sell homes, and he will help you. It's the right way, and it's that easy. Buying, selling, or referrals, check with Chet at 901-484-5689 and Cry Like Realtors at 901-756-8900. Buying or selling? Check with Chet Whitsitt.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
To Indy we go. Always a pleasure to chat with the Hall of Famer from the Sporting News. Mike DeCourcy, their lead college basketball analyst, joins us now. Mike, the Sporting News put out the newest of their top 25s for college hoops, and I don't think Memphis made it. What's wrong with you guys?
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, it wasn't our top 25 favorite college.
I see. Very good.
Certainly would
Very
have
good.
been.
Yeah. No, they got a lot to prove, that is for sure, especially from three-point range. They got to start shooting. But Kentucky was number one, which always will evoke emotion in Memphis, either positive for those of us that like John or negative for those, and there are still many that feel like he deserted. How good are they? Obviously, number one, so they got to be pretty good.
Yeah, they had problems last year with depth. When they lost a player to injury, they lost multiple players were banged up through the year, and when they went to the NCAA tournament, they were hardly healthy at all. But they had real problems with injuries, the concussions that Xavier Wheeler was getting. Because he was, I don't know if they ever were diagnosed as such, so don't hold me to that. But there were circumstances where he had to leave the game because he got banged up in hard screens. He's not the biggest guy, and he ran into a couple of screens, and that was problematic for them. So they missed him for a while. They had, when they went into the tournament, they were not 100%, and now they've got the depth to withstand some of that. And they have multiple ball handlers now. It's not just Xavier Wheeler. Cason Wallace can play the point as well. He'll probably start at shooting guard, but he can play the point. They brought in a wing from Illinois State, Antonio Reeves, who really shoots the basketball well. They have great length. I think they'll become – the reason I chose them over Carolina was they're both very strong teams, but I thought that Kentucky had the ability to be an overwhelming defensive team. If they need to be, if they decide to go in that direction, they could be an overwhelming defensive team. And I don't know that I think Carolina can be effective, but I don't think they'll ever be overwhelming built the way they are.
Is there pressure on John Calipari? I mean, look, the guy's only won one national title. This is Kentucky. That's the same amount as
I love that sentence, Dave. He's only won one.
I know, but wait a second. That's the same as Tubby Smith. That's my point, is that at Kentucky they think you should win every year. I know how hard that is, but what is this? His 10th or 11th year, right?
I think he's up to more than that.
It could be.
I think this will be the 13th season.
No, can't be.
Yeah, it's hard
he
to
left
believe.
Memphis. Well, let's see. He left Memphis after 9.
2009 is his first year at Kentucky.
So that's right. Wow, 1 in 13. That's compared to other guys. That's not up to what I think Kentucky expectations are. And I don't mean to pile on, because I love John, and he could be my coach any day of the week. But I wonder if he feels some heat
Well, I think that is it fair to say he feels pressure? Yes, I think that he feels Remember, John is John, and so he absolutely feels pressure from within. I thought that for a while, criticism of him was unfair because in the NCAA tournament, I mean, if you make the Final Four and don't win it, there aren't very many years when that's not good enough,
right,
so to speak. I'd say 15 when they had that team, it was close to not good enough. But the thing was there were three other great teams at the Final Four or two other great teams, I should say, in Wisconsin and Duke, and losing to one of them was not a disgrace. I thought also, remember 2020, they had a chance to do really well. They had three great guards. Emmanuel Quickley and Tyrese Maxey are both playing great at the NBA level, but that team didn't get its chance to play any NCAA tournament games. So I thought last year's team really achieved at a high level for the problems that they had, both in terms of roster construction. C.J. Frederick, the transfer from Iowa, did not play at all last year. Now, that's an advantage for this year's team and one of the reasons why they're number one, but it certainly hurt them to not have him available last year. He would have been an excellent defender and one of the better shooters that they had, and him not playing at all had a big impact. I thought to an extent they slightly overachieved last year until, of course, you can't overachieve if you're losing as a 2 to a 15. No matter how well that 15 goes on and does, that was not a great performance.
No. I also thought his very first team, which lost to Bob Huggins, a guy he knew very well, when that was in the Sweet 16, I think, West Virginia may have even...
No, that was the Elite Eight.
Elite Eight.
That was on the verge of the Final Four. I was at that game in Syracuse. Huggs came up with that zone, and it was great. And it was the right tactic for that team. That team did not shoot the ball great. Darius Miller was a very effective shooter, but beyond that, they didn't have a lot. And so playing them in a zone was really a smart play. Huggs got Cal that night, and he got his Final Four out of it.
Based on your rankings, this is going to be a banner year if you love history and legacy in the NCAA. You got Kentucky 1, North Carolina 2, UCLA is 5, Indiana is 7, Duke is 8, Kansas is 10. That is all brand names right there.
Yeah, there's a lot of blue in that, right? And not just in terms of their uniform colors. It's interesting, and I think that some of those picks were made with a little more conviction than others, and I think Indiana has a lot of prove it to do. I think they feel really confident about what they're capable of, and that it's reasonable, but they're going to have to prove it. Kansas is as much an appreciation or wager on Bill Self as it is anything else. I mean, they've got some very good players. There's a lot of reconstruction to do, but every time you say, okay, this is the year they're going to finish 18th or whatever, he manages to get them in the top 10 again. He's amazing. Maybe the least appreciated great coach we have. I mean, I think people like him, but I don't think he's often viewed as the Titan that he is.
So you sprinkle with those brand names, schools that have become relevant for sure because of coaches, more than 10 years, but at least the last 10 years. Gonzaga, Houston, they are 3-4. Gonzaga's 3. The Cougars are 4. Houston is 3, I think, in the AP poll. Then there's Baylor, and man, has he ever done a great job at that school. And Memphis didn't even offer him when they had a chance to when Calipari left. And then you got the Tennessee Volunteers with another guy who's gotten teams to postseason, hasn't had much luck in postseason with Rick Barnes. Tennessee is 15. Of those schools, like, how close is Gonzaga in Houston to being a team that could win the national title?
Oh, I think they both could, absolutely. I probably Gonzaga a little bit more because they've got more ways to go, more directions to turn. Houston, they have 2 or 3 guys who have to be great, and if anything gets in that way, I mean, a year ago, Marcus Sasser was lost for the year with an injury, and that it really cost him a Final Four spot, quite possibly.
Sure.
He's going to get the most out of who's ever there, but in order to win a national championship, Marcus Sasser has to be great. I mean, he has to be 20 points a game special, I think. They need Jamal Shed to go from being a guy who was, every other time they scored a basket. Shed again? I mean, you saw that at the end of last year. He did it again. Now he's got to have to do it all the time, not just coming from, from sort of an okay first 2/3 of the regular season to a near dominant last third. It's got to be beginning to end now in order for them to do those kinds of things.
Real quick, because we're pretty much out of time, and I want your thoughts on the American in that race at some point. But there was a big TV deal with the Big 12 this year. It's all from football, but basketball is tied in. $50 million per school for the next 6 years. Of course, Memphis is again left behind. Sad, no question. But all of a sudden, Cincinnati, where you used to live, UCF, Houston, they're now in the big leagues. $50 million a year. Pretty amazing stuff.
Yeah, I'll admit to being surprised by that number because when you look around it, I mean, they do have significant markets now with the addition of those three. They don't have very many from their core membership. Kansas, I guess its proximity to Kansas City probably counts to an extent, but there's a lot of small college towns that make up the Big 12, and yet they still commanded that amount of money. I will say I'm surprised. It's why I still believe that people that are trying, some of the people in our business, it's almost as if they're actively trying to change the nature of college conferences. The way they say, well, it's clear that this is in play or whatever. It's almost like they're being activists in this. I think the Pac-12 still has great value. If the Big 12 is worth that, what is Portland, Seattle, and the Bay Area worth?
Yeah,
it has to be something. Yeah.
Well, and then there's rumors they could go after SMU. They would get the Dallas market if they did that. I have no idea
San
what
Diego
they do next.
too.
And San Diego.
They have to do that. It'd be foolish not to go after San Diego. It's a huge market. It's a top 30 market, and it's an athletic program that has done really well in the last decade plus.
We shall wait and see. As always, a pleasure chatting with you. We'll do it again next Tuesday.
Sounds great. Thanks, Wolo.
That is Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News. He's brought to you by Americare, this wonderful place that is all about taking care of our older senior citizens. If you've got a loved one that is ready to be in assisted living, you're a little worried leaving them alone. Maybe they need memory care as well. That is what you will get at 3 different Americare locations in the Memphis area. Hacks Cross, that's called South Breeze in Memphis. There's Olive Branch, where there's a signing opportunity if you go there. It's on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. It's called Olive Grove Terrace, and there's Schilling Gardens in Collierville. They do things a little differently. It's a smaller community. It's about wellness, not just what you eat, but who you eat with. Exercise, but more. Programs designed, let's say, for balance if you've got a risk at falling. It's an intimate community. Where you live really does matter. I suggest the Americare properties. South Breeze, Schilling Gardens, and Olive Grove Terrace. That'll do it for us. Johnny Radio is next. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day, everyone.
I often say they've set the